Nova Scotia's EMO asked to use the hall as a registration centre for residents of Portapique who had fled their homes.
For residents of Portapique who had fled their homes.
An RCMP officer was posted here in a cruiser. By this time, police were on the hunt for the shooter, who they knew was impersonating a police officer. At 10:30 a.m., 2 RCMP officers fired multiple shots outside the hall. Sources have told CTV News the officers thought they were firing at the suspect, when it was in fact a fellow Mountie.
This program is brought to you in part by...
Why don't you get yourself some turned-down collars, Poirot? They're much more the thing, you know.
The thing, Hastings? Do you think Poirot concerns himself with mere thingness?
No. No, I see that.
The turned-down collar is the first symptom of decay of the grey cells.
You know, I just think if people keep pushing, I can't, first of all, thank enough all of the hard work. There's 3 fellow YouTubers who are working very, very hard with me on this one. Rage in the Cage, Steve LTT, and Just My Stupid Opinion. Just plugging them, sorry. But they are fantastic guys, really been busting their humps here. And, you know, stepping up to the plate, because there's a certain amount of risk saying certain things. And also, likewise, all of the people who are volunteering information and time, which is, like I said, over on the Discord or sending me anonymously information, it is fantastic.
All right. Good afternoon. Audio's okay, I hope. Should be okay. Craig, Green Bastard, Blue Nose, and Glenn, what's happening? I'm gonna just go drop this over in the Discord. How's everybody doing today? Gonna be a busy day. Looks like somebody made a comment about that, I think. And you're right. I wanted to first of all, thank the person that anonymously sent me the moratorium. Yeah. I won't get into it at this point in time. I haven't gone through the article on air, but I did want to thank that person because they reached out anonymously and really stepped up, and that's brought a whole bunch of new things to the plate. So that's what we're going to be hearing about, I suspect. Anyway, morning. Why is everybody saying morning? Most of you are down there, right? I'm the lone folk stuck out. Oh, I went to the ranch the other day. It was nice. Just finishing up work. Okay. Now, is he going to have them on right now? Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Becomes available next week.
All right, so I think hopefully that won't interfere. Not going to put on the Kovu stuff. Sorry, don't want to give it too much airplay. I can't time what time Paul's coming on exactly, so you'll have to bear with me. There are a couple of articles I can point out, at least. The Lisa camp is going a bit berserk. I also put up the latest episode of 13 Hours, the Beth series, which has been reworked all over the place. I don't know if you guys caught it. And there's lots of issues I have with it. But anyway, won't get into that at this time. But it's up there so you can listen. And also tonight, again, just to be repetitive, Paul will be on Nighttime Podcast at 10 Atlantic, and Steve and I will be joining Jordan at 11 right afterwards. So should be a really interesting show. I do hope that you can join us. I don't know if I'll be able to stream it. I will put it up afterward for sure. And Jordan's agreed to come over here and do a stream with us. So that should be interesting. He's got 6 episodes. I do have them downloaded. Funnily enough, I was talking to Brandon about it. He phoned me and told me, Paul, better get on the Paul thing. I was having a little nappy poo. 13 hours in the Puffcast. Oh, it is massive. Rick off the air in 10 minutes. What's going on here?
So, I mean, I've
What's he
certainly gotten emails and communication about that. I mean, I understand the rationale, but you know, that's a decision for the education system. My job is to give public health guidance and advice to the education system, whether they close early or whether or extend their Christmas break. There's certainly not a specific rationale right now to do that solely on the basis of COVID-19. There may be lots of other.
Talking about COVID.
All right, 8 new cases reported yesterday, and this after again double-digit increases for a period of days just recently. Are you satisfied that maybe again with these restrictions now in place here in HRM that maybe we've beating this thing down here?
So I think we are starting to see the impact of that. We're down. This is the 4th day in a row we've had single-digit new cases. We're seeing more of those cases now are ones we would expect. Somebody who's been known to be in close contact with a previous case. Some of them are related to travel outside the Atlantic bubble, and then there's been some spread, small amount of spread from there. And we're still not seeing any really significant shift or spread beyond the Halifax area. So all the indicators are heading in the right direction. It's still early days yet. Even though we may be trending in the right way, we need to continue to bring those numbers down, and then we need to see them be able to sustain them. The last thing we want to do is lift the restrictions too early, and then have
this fucking stuff. What a bunch of BS. Again, my apologies on the Kovu timing. I don't know what time he's going to be on. I wouldn't have known if it weren't for a phone call. So thank you very much. BC is here. Here you guys aren't going to even be getting Christmas. Again, thank you very, very, very much to the anonymous person who sent that to me. I was just like, and I think it helped Paul some. So I like helping what we can do. No echo. Okay, good. Yes, they have. Yes, they have, Ms. Fox. Very strong. I like how they turned this one around, too. How are you doing today? Gosh, they're not going to have any time for Paul. What's going on here? Like 1 minute? Sorry, I probably just woke up on the wrong side of the couch or something. Truth and all, truth and all. It's not about firsts, but I really do appreciate anything. The contact information for anybody is down below. I can guarantee it as far as I can guarantee it in terms of anonymity, which is you'll have my life. Never know, though, because the RCMP do interesting things these days. They have been for a while. But doesn't get anywhere unless you speak up. No, he wasn't on earlier, green bastard.
You got a vaccine coming doesn't mean we can just kind of all relax and take it easy. It'll be many months, probably into the fall, before we can really understand how much impact the vaccine has had and how where we are positioned to move forward with COVID from there.
I understand that this Pfizer vaccine requires 2 shots, I believe, one and then 20 some odd days later a second. But the the Johnson & Johnson vaccine only requires 1 shot. So is one more effective than the other, Dr. Strang, or what's the difference here between those two?
So we're waiting. First of all, none of these vaccines have been licensed in Canada. So we're hearing that they're going to be that the licensing we're expecting to come soon. But we can't start using these products until they're licensed. Once they're licensed, those of us in the provinces and territories who will be using the vaccine will get much more detailed information on the products, how they're used. Whether it's 1 or 2 doses depends on how they were used in all the clinical trials. So the one that I'm most familiar with is the Pfizer one, because that's the one we're going to get first. That is 2 doses. I think it's 1 month apart. The scheduling of the other ones, we haven't gotten much information on yet. As I said, that's all part of what's presented when they're put forward for licensing. And I think people need to be reassured that the process that all other vaccines have to go through around an appropriate information on both safety and effectiveness, all these vaccines are going through that same process.
I like how many
the same information is required. It's just the process has been sped up. But the actual information and the assessment that's done on that information by Health Canada is exactly the same as with all other vaccine products. When that's done, we'll get much more of that detailed information, and then we'll be able to start communicating to Nova Scotians with much more certainty on the details of each of the vaccine products. There's going to be at least 4 of them ultimately that we get to use here.
Yeah, and before I let you go, we've got about just over a minute left here. Testing for people who are asymptomatic, people looking to get testing. Tell us what's going on here over the next couple of days.
So we are focused on asymptomatic testing has been especially in the Halifax area, 16 to 35-year-olds, but we're really shifting that, and we're saying both people still, we want people in the Halifax area. If you don't have any symptoms, we still want you to come and get tested, especially if you have, no matter what your age, especially if you have a number of social contacts. If you've been at social activities, especially around different groups at different activities, you can just walk into the sportsplex and get a test. And the rest of the province, we're now starting people can actually go through our online assessment and book an appointment at one of the primary assessment centers, even if they have no symptoms, just like in Halifax, and they have especially people who have been quite normally, socially active in the last few weeks. This is all part of our response. We put restrictions in place, and we've had this surge on testing. What we want to do is get anybody who may be feeling well, may have no symptoms, but could be infected. We've had a number of those. This is all part of trying to understand where we're at with COVID
on a video I saw today, 90%
and do the things that we can get out of these tight restrictions as quickly as possible, and hopefully early in the new year start to open up our economy, open up our society and our communities.
All right, Dr. Strang, as always, appreciate your time here, and I know you've got another briefing coming up at 3 o'clock here this afternoon with the Premier. Any hints as to what's to come here? Any new restrictions or anything along those lines?
No, we're at where we're at with restrictions is where we're staying, and till at least till December 16th, and we'll see what the next week says. As I think is looking positive. We'll be talking about the asymptomatic testing around the vaccines, just kind of like we've talked about now, in a bit more detail because we'll have a bit more time.
All right, appreciate your time here this afternoon. Thanks, Doctor.
Thanks, Rick. Bye-bye.
All the best. Bye-bye. Dr. Robert Strang. He is Nova Scotia's Chief Public Officer of Health. It is now 28 minutes past the hour. We're break for a news update, and then we'll be back. with Paul Palango. We'll hear more about the ongoing probe into the mid-April rampage that saw 22 Nova Scotians gunned down. We'll be back right after a news update. It is coming up next.
Phew. Okay. Goodness me, oh my. I thought I missed it. That would have just not been good, would it? Where are you at today, Steve? Can't get a hold of you anymore. What's going on? You were supposed to call, not me. Paul. I don't think there's any time for phone calls, which is unfortunate. So yeah, again, I don't. Really? No, that's it. Now you're gonna call. Thanks. Now you're gonna. No, that's it. Sorry, bro. I called you last night. I called you back. Your phone went straight to the answering machine, though. So I think they're playing with us, to be honest. Oh, yeah. No. I have my COVID stuff to share with you. I think you'll really like it. Yeah, well, I want to hear it. That's why I called you last night. I texted you like 3 times, too. Virus. Yes, no, this is for something else, obviously. We all have got that one figured out, I think. Rick's changed, not his show. He's evading. Okay, his brain has changed. I don't think you get to media, sadly. You gotta pay the piper. I was gonna dig up those how much they get. Wasn't it 300 million? Okay, here we go, I think. No, my apologies. It's news. You guys want to hear news? Okay, I'm going to put on news.
Book online that will run until the 13th. The province says it is especially recommended for people who have a lot of close social interaction through gatherings or many social contacts. Speaking last week, Dr. Robert Strang says you won't get in trouble if you've been skirting the rules. No one will ask you why you want to test. He says, like the program saw thousands tested in HRM, this testing will help get a handle on cases that would have otherwise gone undetected. Meantime, we'll be hearing from Strang and the Premier this afternoon at 3. We'll have the COVID briefing live on News 95.7. Regional police are asking for help identifying a suspect in a break-and-enter that happened last month in Halifax. Officers were called to a home on South Park Street early in the morning on November 19th. A woman heard noises in her apartment and found a man standing in the entryway. The suspect ran off when she confronted him. He's described as a short, overweight white man in his 50s. Police say he might have been bald, clean-shaven, with a light green or beige jean jacket. Police asking anyone who might know anything to reach out. You can see a picture of the suspect at halifaxtoday.ca. And the first pilot to break the sound barrier, Chuck Yeager, has died at the age of 97.
Yeager's wife, Victoria, announced on Twitter he died Monday. In 1947, Yeager, then 24, broke the sound barrier, flying 660 miles per hour. His exploits were told in the book and movie The Right Stuff. He fought in World War II and the Vietnam War, was awarded the Purple Heart and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. At age 79, Yeager piloted an F-15 to near 1,000 miles per hour. Looking back on his life, he once said, "I was just a lucky kid who caught the right ride." Chuck Yeager, dead at 97. I'm Julie Walker.
News 95.7, time 12:33 right now in downtown Halifax. It is cloudy and 2 degrees. I'm Chris Hallett. For more news, follow us on Twitter or at halifaxtoday.ca.
Don't just talk, say something. You're listening to The Rick Howe Show on News 95.7.
All righty, 34 minutes past the hour here on a Tuesday afternoon. Hi there and welcome back to the show. A little later this half hour, we'll hear from the Chronicle Herald's arts and entertainment reporter, Stephen Cook. He'll join us with the latest news from the movie world. Not a whole lot of news to discuss with us, Stephen. Of course, the theaters are closed right now because of the restrictions here in Atrium until at least December 16th. But we got a couple of issues to raise with us, Stephen, including music legend Bob Dylan selling his entire song catalog to Universal Music for 300 million smackaroos. Dylan's not going to have to worry again about his future, but we'll hear more from Stephen Cook. And again, Bob Dylan, a legend, of course. Stephen Cook will join me in about 10 to 15 minutes. But right now, journalist Paul Palango says he has learned the RCMP recently instructed its personnel connected to the mid-April shooting rampage that saw 22 Nova Scotians lose their lives to stop destroying evidence and data connected to the case. A strong indication, says Paul, that police had been destroying some of that evidence. And Paul Palango joins me on the phone here this afternoon. Paul, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you.
Again, an excellent story here. It's in the latest edition of Frank magazine, and you're suggesting that the RCMP has been destroying evidence. What kind of evidence are you aware? And doesn't this kind of sort of have an impact on the outcome of the public inquiry and the police investigation, in fact?
Well, Rick, it goes well beyond that. I mean, the implications are profound. That, this memo, which you could read and see all the documents in Frank, buy a subscription, please, because they're the only people doing the stories now. The Examiner and the Herald seem to be dead on this. The story is from a document, documents I obtained, 4 documents that were issued on October 15th. And it says, the headline is Moratorium on the Destruction of Information Involving Gabriel Wortman Pertaining to the Investigation of the Mass Shooting. This is incredible. You think this story would be picked up everywhere because the implications are just incredible. It's what it strongly suggests is that the RCMP was destroying or altering evidence prior to October 15th, and they're being told now not to do any more of this until the hearing and other matters are concluded, whenever they are concluded. It's mind-boggling because I've talked to you before about this, Rick.
Yep.
That like I've been told by sources they were altering electronic evidence, they were altering paper evidence. One officer told me they were pasteurizing things to make it more palatable.
To what end, though? You say make it more palatable. What do you mean by that?
Well, taking out, there's all kinds of issues here. They're obviously hiding something. Because as we talked about it before, Rick, if this is the simple case they said it is, madman shoots a bunch of people, blah, 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 he gets killed. Well, why are they hiding the 911 tapes about the 911 calls? Why are they hiding communications? Why are they hiding all kinds of stuff? Why are they playing this game with information? They're redacting all kinds of things, not letting the public see what information they were using, and making the media, which ill can afford to do this nowadays, pay tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars to fight them to get every word out. Mm. Why are they not being open and transparent? So the only thing that's transparent about this case so far is the fact that the RCMP and the governments at the federal and provincial level are covering it up. That's the most transparent thing, and that's not a good thing.
But the destruction of evidence, that's a crime, is it not?
Absolutely. This, like I've had lawyers tell me, with this document, how can the RCMP prosecute a criminal case successfully forever? Because this now just throws their entire operations into, their whole sort of code of conduct and ethics into question. I mean, if you look at, the Glenn Assoon story, in the Glenn Assoon story, which has been covered, so extensively in the Examiner, the allegation was that the RCMP sort of destroyed evidence and did all kinds of nefarious things to keep an innocent man in jail. Well, this document confirms that. It says in its own wording that on RCMP letterhead with their websites and internal websites on the pages, this is a real document saying this is what they do.
Mm. Do we have any?
It's outrageous.
Do we have any sense of just the evidence that's been destroyed or somehow adjusted at all? Do you have a sense of what that evidence pertained to?
Well, no, I don't. But as I said, from the beginning, the RCMP has said, "Whoa, watch out what that Mr. Palango's doing there." Yeah. I don't even think they call me Mr. They say, look at what he's doing. He's telling a fairy tale about possible confidential informants and this and that. Well, why are they hiding so much stuff? What is, I asked this question back in May. What is the big secret? What is the problem?
But if they are doing this, Paul, I mean, you would think that this would be like question number one from the public inquiry, the three, commissioners who are going to oversee the public inquiry. Do you not think that would be, they would call the RCMP on the carpet over that?
Maybe, but I have no faith in the public inquiry at this point, because you have three people in the public inquiry who, the first two, as we talked before, Mr. Justice McDonald and Leanne Fitch, who worked for the RCMP, part of their management director board, had agreed to sit on a review and not accept any evidence. Now they're part of the public inquiry. They should be recusing themselves for that. The third person has a background in Aboriginal justice, and she was appointed 1 week exactly after this memo came out on October 22nd. I have no faith in the public inquiry. I'm going to write a book about this and explain how these public inquiries get the answers the government wants. But it's just outrageous. You think the Halifax Chronicle Herald, the newspapers all have copies of this. CBC have copies of all these. Why are they not doing stories on it? I'm getting stuff from people all across the country talking about it. And last point, Andrew Douglas from Frank put in a request. This is now the third day. The questions are in my story in Frank. The third day, the RCMP has still not provided an answer or an explanation for this memo.
Wow. 3
days they've been waiting, and they haven't said a goddamn thing.
You don't expect that they'll give you an answer, do you?
No, because I think we've got them cut. There's obviously insiders inside the force who are disturbed about what's going on. And I encourage those people, for more of them, to come forward. Go to any media person. I've got a private email that's in Frank. You can see it, that it's a secure encrypted email you can send stuff to. Or this one took a route through a YouTube channel, Little Gray Cells, which has 380 citizen investigators around the province investigating this thing, and they're doing a good job, and I congratulate them. They're the ones. One of them is who ferreted this out originally. And citizen investigators around the province. I encourage anyone inside government of the RCMP to serve the country, serve the province, do their duty, and get more of this information out.
Before I let you go, Paul, I'm curious as to your reaction, your thoughts on the charges now against Gabriel Wortman's common law partner. Again, Lisa Diana Banfield, 52 years old, charged along with a couple of others, including her brother, with unlawfully transferring ammunition. Police do say that none of the three facing that charge were aware of Wortman's plans. I'm curious as to your thoughts, your reaction, and let's hear your thoughts on this.
Well, I've got a whole large article in Frank that they published that sat around for 2 months on various newspapers and magazines across the country who wouldn't publish it because they said Banfield's a victim. And I've always contended she wasn't a victim. It hasn't been proven. She may be a victim, I don't know. The thoughts on the charges, my friend Scott Anderson, who works for the Fifth Estate in Toronto, who covered the Mayor Thorpe thing and exposed what was going on there for the Fifth Estate, says, here it is, the same old tired trick from the RCMP to deflect and confuse people about what's going on. I don't see those as legitimate charges that are going to have any sort of penalty. What I do see them as is something that will hold up the public inquiry if ever there is one, because they'll say, well, we can't do the inquiry until these charges are resolved, and they'll push it back farther and farther and farther. And so I think this is part of the delay and deflect sort of tactic that the RCMP has often used, that the government's using. They should be ashamed of themselves. They have to come forward. Mark Fury should be resigning. He shouldn't be even there overseeing this because there's so much wrong. It's disgusting. I'm really, really upset about it.
There's a story on the front page of the Chronicle Herald today's paper, quoting a representative of the Nova Scotia feminists fighting femicide, who says that basically this is a diversion from the RCMP. Spokesperson Linda McDonald says, quote, they're letting off a smoke bomb, running away and refusing to take any responsibility for it. She goes on to say, or another member of the group says, the RCMP is attempting to deflect attention away from the force It just seems, she says, quote, "It just seems that they are trying to divert attention from themselves and put on the shooter's partner." She says specifically, the force is seemingly dismissing its own evidence that the shooter's partner was in an abusive relationship. Quick comment on that, Paul.
Well, the whole notion of the abusive relationship, I know, McDonald and her friend, her cohort there, was there Sarson. I've been advocating the domestic violence thing. My point is there is no proof of that. Yeah, they probably had they had arguments. They had this. We don't know for sure because we don't know what Banfield says. We've got it all third hand. One from a neighbor, 7 years ago, who said, "I called the police," but we know if you look back at the record, she called the police about Wortman and what he was doing to them. He wasn't calling about Banfield. I think the problem we have is this whole issue of domestic violence has been sort of used by the government to not tell the story. And I think, we have to get evidence. We can't allow everyone to be declared a victim until we see the proof. The only victims in this case, and I would tell Ms. McDonald this, are the 22 dead people. Everyone else, as a price of citizenship, has to suck it up and deal with the issues and tell the truth about what happened. Otherwise, the police and the government are going to get away with murder, literally.
As always, Paul Palango, appreciate your time here this afternoon. Thank you very much. We'll keep in touch.
And thank you. And hey, get a subscription to Frank and read my stories. Thank you.
Have a good one, Paul. Take care. That's journalist Paul Palango, and it is now 15 minutes before the top of the hour. We'll take another break, and we'll find out what's going on at the movies when we come back.
All right. Well. A big thank you again for people keep forwarding the tips. Can't do it without you. This is such a team effort. That's the only way it's going to be done. 23 dead. 23 dead. And there's our friend. One of the people we're fighting for amongst how many? Goodness. Wow. Why don't we have a quick boo at this article? Linda McDonald is a very interesting character, as is Gene Sarson. We've been through them, or I have somewhat. Gene Sarson is married to an RCMP officer, former RCMP. So you can kind of see maybe where that's coming from. NST, the group, which is non-state torture, deals with anything that is not related to the state. So, of course, they're a pretty kind of a good group to go to. They're not going to pick on the RCMP because that's not what they do. They pick on, bad men. And that's what should happen. Bad men should be picked on. But when it gets piggybacked, tragedies like this get piggybacked for other things. There's quite a bit on this story I've never gone into, but and if you go back further, the story actually starts April 20th in the Toronto Sun, and there was a group called what was it called? Jeez, it's a good story. So I think I should do a separate video about it. Because it's actually not Gene necessarily, but that movement got started by quite a big group of feminists down in Ottawa that involve some police, people down in Nova Scotia. Oh yeah, it's all archived, by the way, too. Oops. And then we had Gene come along. Gene and Linda come along with Brenda, who saw nothing. And this is the important thing to take note of. Brenda saw zero. with her own eyes. Okay? 0. 0. Nothing that would be admissible in court. So why is it going in the press? And why is it that Jean Sarson and Linda McDonald are approaching the Halifax Examiner, Tim Bousquet, right? Same time, 1 week prior. Look at the timing. Remember I said timing's really important back here. Everything is about timing. You know, I don't go through the chronology very well. It's a lot of details here. But 1 week prior to the release of the first warrant was when the Brenda story came out. It came out in the Halifax Examiner the same day where she was calling herself Beau, and the same day it also came out in the National Post where she apparently wasn't scared anymore. Same day. Because now she's going to call herself Brenda. May 12th. Right? So, very interesting read. I'll leave the link to the article. Let's see here. Because I know that we're going to have some new people. We have a lot of new people watching, which is welcome to you. Welcome. Anything that you can help with, please let us know. There's contact information down below. Halifax Examiner, Brenda Forbes. He was a psychopath. May 12th. Okay. Halifax Examiner, of course, Tim Bousquet. And everybody hopped on the Tim Bousquet train. And he sabotaged Paul using a CSIS agent, Jessica Davis. Sometimes she's Fintrack, sometimes she's CSIS. Kind of depends. She likes to be used in the press. Or maybe the powers that be like to use her in the press. Like CSIS. CSIS. If you read this article, I'll leave it in the link here and paste. Doodaloo. There we go. Okay. If you read this article, it's very specific that she didn't see anything. And in a telephone interview, and like you can see where she said, after Beau spoke with them, McDonald asked her if she would share her story with the Halifax Examiner. Logic brain here. Is that the way that people operate? I have interesting things to share. Do you go to a feminist group? No. No, you don't. You would either go to the police. If the RCMP aren't going to listen to you, there's other outlets. She lives in Camrose, not too far from Edmonton. There's other outlets that she can go to. She can go to, if that's not going to work, you don't go to a feminist group. You can go straight to the press. Thank you again to that person for the moratorium document, right? So, oh no, my alarm is going off in the background. Give me one moment, please. Okay. So she didn't see anything. And you can read the article. I've given it to independent people who aren't familiar with the story. They've read it. they've laughed and they've said, what am I looking at exactly here? Because I don't see a person who's seen anything. This is hogwash. Is this an actual person? You go through her, muted blank screen recordings where she's talking about not being a liar. I'm not a liar. I'm not a liar. I want people to believe me. I'm not a liar. I'm not a liar. Listen to her on the radio, CBC. I'm not a liar. I'm not a liar. Did anybody call you a liar? Why would you start that with that? Sounds like you have something going on. Maybe you're not telling the truth. Maybe. If you are, there would be a plethora of people coming forward. Plethora. Lots. Because the man's dead and people want answers. And there's nobody come forward. There were two other people who I won't touch right now. Perhaps they want to remain there. Perhaps. So that's interesting. So let's see what they're saying now, because they've spun this once again. Feminists continue push for feminist analysis as part of Nova Scotia mass shooting public inquiry. Oh, where is it here? Oh no, why do I not have it? I get the picture? Oh no. Let's see. Got some stuff all over it. They got a book deal too. Hello? Book deal. Book deal. Right after this. Does that smell a little fishy? On the East Coast, you guys got fish, don't you? For sure you do. I'm just being a total jackass. Fishy? Ceases? Book deals? Torpedoing anybody who speaks the truth? Sticking all people who speak the truth in, or looking for the truth, in one boat? And then subscription list? Oh, so predictable. You always play the same games. I don't know why we're still not aware of this. I've talked about the drives, the secret drives, way back when, about the RCMP and how they have secret servers. Secret servers. Good luck getting any information from there. Good luck with the ATIP. You think that Prime Minister, quote, briefing was the real deal? No. Ask anybody who does an ATIP. You don't get an ATIP. And nobody, funnily enough, seems to have made the ATIP. National Post was the first to report it, never bragged about it, never said we did the ATIP. They just said, access to information, we got it. I think somebody maybe just kind of said, here's a little something for you, because we know that an RCMP weapon is going to come out. I believe that was spoken about. Tara may have a good memory. Steve might. I don't know. There's few of you may. How long ago were we saying that here? Here. RCMP weapon. Would have been within the first, I don't know, week. Surprise. Right. So feminists. Just keep repeating. Hopefully I get very bad at communicating. That's the problem. They like to use their rag, The Advocate. Have you guys heard of this paper? The Advocate? Oh my. If that's not a real propaganda piece, I mean, these other ones are obviously too, right? Right away. So much stuff we just found right away. And we're live. Yeah. See, I like live for that reason. Even though they do delete videos. I found one that they deleted just the other day. They don't tell me about. But it's on the record. Nobody can say, well, you didn't say it. A big fat. What? I'll use polite language today. So let's see here. They're kicking Lisa a bone. Watch. Lisa is going to get in some trouble. Or is it Beth? Or is it LB? Or Shoe? Or what is it? Moon? Pizza Pie? Beth? I don't know. Something. Watch. Something's going to happen before the end of the month. I'm hearing. She, of course, is basically suing the families. Who would do that if you're a victim? Would you do that? Would you do that? Somebody have a link for the article, please? If you guys don't. Okay, here we go. My apologies. My apologies. My apologies. Charge against gunman's partner. Attempt to divert attention away from RCMP, advocacy group says. Can you not just lay down and say, perhaps we made a mistake here. Perhaps we should get off this boat now. You know that they were involved, right? We all know that they were involved. But you can be a stand-up woman and get off that boat now. It failed. And you can be honest people from this point forward. RCMP. Gene Sarson. Uh-oh. One moment, please. Okay, my apologies. My apologies. There we go, Mr. Campbell. He likes women. Ask him about his ex-wife. Jean? Linda? Oh, that's right. It's not your forte. Non-state torture. How interesting your group is used. Because you don't do that as part of your mandate. Oh, it's so predictable. The RCMP's decision to issue a vague press release announcing charges against the partner of the Portapique massacre unfairly links her to one of the country's deadliest tragedy and ignores that she's a victim, also a victim, says an advocacy group. A victim of what? Potentially a crime? Potentially many more crimes? Why do you get questioned by Vardy? Lisa? Second interview? Vardy? The lie detector? RCMP? Huh? Is it that you're not telling the truth? Why were you cautioned? Read your rights right away. And again. Sounds like a victim. I don't know. I talk closely to the mic, maybe has emphasis. Quote, they're letting off a smoke bomb, running away and refusing to take responsibility. Now that is, what is it? Deflection, reflection? I forget the term for it. Geez, my psychology, I can't remember from university. Poor. Transposing. Said Linda MacDonald of Nova Scotia, feminists fighting for femicide. What? What is that? Femicide. Give me the math. Let's see it on paper. How many people are we talking about here? Oh, it's a slightly more. Slightly more. Gosh, I want to start on a group that said that's shut down a discussion. Those of you who are in that group know what I'm talking about. Don't think I haven't looked at that one either. I suspect that person may know. I'm looking at you too. And I found interesting things. The RCMP release issued this past Friday names 3 people, including common law partner of the gunman charged with providing killer ammunition used in mass killings April 18 and 19. The trio accused of unlawful right? I'm repeating myself, but you guys all know this. Unlawfully transferring ammunition, .223 caliber Remington and .40 caliber Smith & Wesson cartridges. .223 is the same as the NATO issue. Colt law enforcement carbine, in quotation marks, all over the leaked or the ATIP quotation marks. That's code for RCMP issued weapon, which for those of you who are unfamiliar, I have great resources, people helping, and I was unfamiliar. So I asked somebody who is very helpful and very familiar with RCMP, multi-generational, so know what they're talking about. The carbines, which of course were issued after Moncton and should have been issued way before, but there was a lot of scamming going on within the RCMP. Some people lined their pockets. And RCMP people died. Good RCMP. Anyways, you don't get to take that weapon home with you. You sign it out at the beginning of your shift. It has a serial number on it. It gets locked up in the car, does not get unlocked unless you phone in for permission. And at the end of your shift, it gets returned and logged in. Logged out, logged in. Logged out, logged in. Where did it come from? Between March 17, fuck you, man. You pick St. Patrick's Day? Really? Ugh. April 20th? The release states the individuals had no prior knowledge of the gunman's actions April 18 and 19. The gunman didn't have a firearms license. Well, that's 2 sentences. Let's deal with the first one. The release states that the individuals had no prior knowledge of the gunman's actions. Well, I thought you sat up there and you told us they did. He was totally beating him up. Getting food, going totally ballistic. And you're supplying him with bullets for an illegal weapon? Was derp. The gunman didn't have a firearms license. Oh, where's my quotations? I can play them in my head. Leather. What did you say again? Leather? For the longest time. Oh, no problem with the, what did they call it? FAC. A derp. Even though it's their program. A derp. But they want to look a derp because then they figure you'll just kind of let them off the hook rather than totally and 100% responsible for murders. Lots of them. The release states that the ammunition was purchased and trafficked in Nova Scotia, but does not include the amount involved or whether the gunman actually fired any of the ammunition. How about, what about her? Was she firing any of those weapons? Sorry. My apologies. Gotta quit smoking. You need the bow. Oh, you most certainly do. Didn't get charged for illegally purchasing. You just got charged with illegally transferring. That means all three of them have a pal. Now, 2 men and one who's a brother and the brother-in-law. Why aren't they with guns? Why aren't they protecting their sister or sister-in-law who has a pal, i.e. a gun license? Sounds like she's totally without defense here. She's very, very fragile. Sorry. An RCMP love even answering how much we're talking about here. Why is that? But does not include the amount. What's so secret about it? What's so secret about the amount? Is that going to, oh yes, that might traumatize families. One of these days, hopefully, going to have multiple family members on at the same time. We'll see if that's traumatizing to them. We'll hear from them. You've already heard from Tara multiple times. There are other people, lots of them. There's some of them I talked to. But traumatized. RCMP, you're traumatizing them with your obfuscation and criminal behavior. And don't think this has anything to do with the amount of money that they're going to have to pay out, because it's all coming from the same place. But that's you, and that's me. It's an endless supply. Sorry, how much do you need? What was that again? They don't care. It's something else that they're trying to hide. The RCMP would provide no further comment. Where's that picture of Derp? With its rationale to ensure a fair trial of the three out of a respect for the upcoming, out of the respect for who? Oh, the public inquiry for your three hand-picked people. Fitch, former police chief. What? Sorry? Feminist lawyer? Sorry? The feminist narrative is way gone. Way gone. Linda, Jean, and anybody else. I'm not a misogynist. I defend my girlfriend. Just ask her. Now. And help her through tough times, let's just say. What kind of respect are you giving the families here? I'm sorry. Sorry, where's that? In there? Oh, that's right. And that was like, we won't give you an escort. I can see all this in my head. I just wish you could go here. All of the pictures and everything I have seen. The parades that you had. Why did you not help Mr. Bond when he wanted to honor all 23 victims? And before we think that it's 23, we all know the hundreds of lives those people's lives have shattered all around them permanently. Criminal behavior. And no money is going to fix it. But jobs, asses, oh yeah, they're going to be on the burner. I'm not going to stop until they are. Gene Sarson, married to a retired RCMP, 33 years, I believe. A fellow member of the advocacy group said the RCMP, and a book deal? Book deal? Linda likes her book deal. Linda really likes her book deal. Let's see, what about it? Does she talk about the book deal? I'm pretty sure she does. Pretty sure she kind of brags about the book deal. Let's see. Linda McDonald. Where's her Tuffy photo? That's not standing up for families. I don't think so. Not standing up for unborn babies. I don't think so. Oh, did she delete her Twitters? Oh, here she is. Her twitters, twatties. Co-author, Women Unsilenced. Oh, coming in the spring of 2021. With your blank screen, muffled voice, unverified, uninterviewed, warty. Lynn, where are you? Media? Why didn't you interview them? Oh, that's right. You're complicit. You fucking bastards. Getting back to the article. Fellow member of the advocacy group said the RCMP is attempting to deflect. I wonder who's trying to deflect attention. With the force under heavy scrutiny, media scrutiny for failing to prevent some of the deaths. I think you're under heavy media scrutiny, but you better just go back in your hole. Or do the really responsible thing. Stand up. Say, you know what? We really made an error here. We're sorry. We're going to check our stuff way better in the future. We're not going to hitch our wagon, our political wagon, to people's suffering and sorrow so that we can get book deals and help our RCMP husbands out. Just seems like they're trying to divert attention from themselves and put it on, Beth? What did she say? Something. She said. Specifically, she said the force. I'm sure she can just ask her husband about the force, right? Because that's her husband, retired, 33 years. RCMP seemingly dismissed its own evidence that the partner was abused by the gunman. Oh, I think they were in on it all the time. Just say this here. Here's your statement. The RCMP previously reported the gunman assaulted his common-law partner before he went on to kill 22 people. Oh, here she is. Brenda. You know Brenda? Brenda? I really don't like to make fun of people. But frankly, I think that shaking and stuff is due to two things: alcoholism and dishonesty and nerves. Frankly, maybe she has a conscience. She doesn't like lying to help other people. Remember her where she works too, right? Washington, D.C. Very interesting group. Reported witnessing him assaulting his partner. Is that true? Is that true? Or did she just get stared at? And apparently other people may have told her things called hearsay. I think it's a little bit more hearsay. Let's see. Bo said the assault was witnessed by one of the gunman or GW's relatives, and not by her. Every single one in this article, every single person in this article, save the flu incident, where she came downstairs. And, here it is right here. She went downstairs and told him in as many words, grabbed a hold of her. But do you see how this is written? In so many words, she had merely been telling the truth to his partner. Of course, she's terrified of him, right? Staring at her, moving to Halifax and then living there for years. Because she's so afraid she's going to run into him in the grocery store in Halifax for years. With her husband in the military also. We're gun owners. We have guns. We're so afraid. We've been in battles. Look at her. Chest full of medals. And medals. Lots of them. She's fought in the Middle East. Wouldn't you know? She's also fought in Bosnia, I believe. Really terrified. If people stare at her. GW then, quote, grabbed a hold of his partner and, quote, dragged her back out. Do you see how this is? That's called selective quoting. Selective quoting. It's not a sentence that she said. So who dragged who? When? We don't have the subject issued by coming from her lips. Do we? This was the one event, singular, that she witnessed. Did she see anything else? No. Everything else, oh, sorry, the staring. Let's see here. Where's the staring? According to Bo, after that, her husband went abroad for work. This sentence I find very interesting. Are they together anymore, Brenda? And is Brenda still together with her husband? Because he's still listed out at Bass River. His LinkedIn page didn't change when we started talking about it. Bass River, down the street, you know, from Portapique. Hers did. Suddenly, articles started appearing in Camrose newspaper, but they were all after April 22nd was the first appearance. Funny that. It's like she just moved there. Funny that. Or they were there, planted. I don't know. Maybe she does live there. I'm not saying that. Just seems very curious. Very curious. You can do it. Search Brenda Forbes, date, Camrose. Look for yourself. If I'm wrong, I like to be corrected, so please help me out. I thought the video was buffering. Sorry. I need to take some anti-seizure medication. Abroad from work. Oh, so Bo's home alone. Woman home alone. Gabriel Wortman, bit of a womanizer. Sounds a bit scorned here. What was it again? According to Bo, where is it here? Right, the company of other women. Bo spoke to his partner about this. And then they had a little fight, I guess. You know, abused woman brings it up. That's not the way abused women act. I know. It's horrific to watch what it does to a woman's mind. It's very sad. They don't say anything. You say jump. They're like, how high? What do I need to do? What do you want? No, sorry. Flinching all the time. That's scary. That's what real abuse does. Bringing somebody back from that, not a fun experience. And not a fun experience for a woman who has to really go through it. When her husband moved home, returned home, she said that she told him they had to move away from Portapique. Must be a really good military job to just be able to say, you know what, we're just going to move. No problem here. Hey, military, we decide where we're going to go. Anybody in the military here? Anybody understand about the military in here? Do you get to tell them you're posting? You just be like, oh yeah, I'm moving, by the way. Or is it pretty tough to do that? I understand it's pretty tough. Bo has profound concerns about, oh, that's right, sorry. I missed the staring. Go abroad for work, and the situation got worse. The worse for who? When Bo came home from work, she would park her car and go inside. This is apparently a quotation. And I noticed Gabriel Wortman coming up the road. He stopped his vehicle right in front of my house. He did just live up the road. Maybe he was visiting Mr. Griffin, who lived across the street. You know, Mr. Griffin, who might have been employed by him, right? Friends with him, right? It seems crazy he would be down across from your house. He got out of his vehicle and stood there and, sorry, what's this word here? Stared. What does it see? I know my eyes are bad. What does that say? Stared at the house for a good half hour, scaring the shit out of me. Me with all of my chest full of medals. Fought in, I believe, don't quote me on it, but I did trace the medals. I do have them all filed away. Bosnia and in the Middle East. In wars. And you have guns. And you're scared shitless of staring. Wow. I don't know what's going on. I know you say that the PTSD dog, perhaps the PTSD dog will help. I truly hope so. I'm not trying to attack anybody, but your credibility is zero. And I don't like liars. I like firsthand witnesses, people who saw something directly, and lots of them. Because any woman will tell you who's been abused, they talk to their friends. They have stories that they cannot explain. You know, bruises here and there, you know, on their body. You can only run into a door so many times. Apparently she looked good at the office all the time. Right? Leon equally said she just looked the same to me as she did normally from the few times I saw her. Because he's so controlling, he'd be up there by himself. You know, she wasn't there while he was playing around, which was quite often. A lot, to be specific, without getting into details. That doesn't sound very controlling. She has her own vehicle. She has her own house, I believe. She has lots of brothers who help her get ammunition. She probably has a pal. 2 brothers who have big families. Probably could get them beaten up. Gabe, who has the adopted brother in the United States, who won't say a word. Only Brenda talks for him. Brenda talks for him. No comment from Mr. Jeff Samuelson. They'll say stuff about, Brenda says this. Jeff Samuelson declined to comment. Well, why? About a dead brother? That you don't like? It seems strange, doesn't it? Very odd. Women talk to their friends, the bruises, right? So when somebody dies, and I'll know that one, I know that one, it all comes piling out. Because everybody knows those suddenly become louder. And I think involving in a murder investigation, you're going to get a lot of people start coming forward. Questions. Whenever you see one person speaking, because this isn't the only thing, there's other ones like this. When you only see one person, singular, okay, speaking about something, then you probably can ask some questions. Where are all the other people? Where are all the other girlfriends who got abused? Question. Are there other people in this story, singular, who just flowed out of nowhere? I'm being suggestive. Very, very suggestive. Very sarcastic. I'm losing viewers. Only one like? Nobody likes? Okay, that's fine. Apparently, I'm persona non grata on a particular page because I ask questions about people and their stories. Oops. Sorry about that one. Shouldn't everybody do that? Shouldn't the RCMP be doing that? Shouldn't they be doing it? If you don't want to ask questions, one thinks, why? That's a story for another day. Will be coming. Just keep filing them away. You know, little bombs in my head. Staring. The hell that she lived through. According to who? Again, another selective quote. It's interesting. I don't think she does the truth thing in here. She really started going on crazy on it. I did that one day. I started counting how many times. How many paragraphs was it? 4 paragraphs or something like that. 8 times. 8 times you have to tell somebody you're telling the truth. I am. Trust me, I am. Who does that? Does that sound like, you know, your child who maybe steals a cookie? And then you're like, you stole a cookie. And they're like, oh, no, I'm telling you the truth. I didn't. No. How can there only be 2 thumbs up? DC, feel free to, she's on the Facebergs. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. I saw you here the other day, actually. Saw your comment. So let's continue backstory to the article. I'm very slow, but I try to lay it out, right? I know you guys know lots of this, but there's new people in here. Plus, there are lots of little pieces that maybe I don't discuss, right? I just try and help people. You're not on the Facebook? Send me your email. The contact information is below, and I'll send it on to Tara. How's that? Does that sound fair? I'm not going to do anything shady with it, I promise you. I'm not a shady guy. And possessing illegal guns. The advocate said the force is also deflecting reports that the RCMP could have potentially prevented some of the deaths. Potentially. Really. Potentially prevented some of the deaths by acting on earlier complaints about the gunman. This part, don't know. Who are we trusting there? The RCMP? Branda? No. Credibility? 0. Sorry. RCMP really dug themselves a deep hole here. Their credibility now is 0. Zero. Frankly, I look at what they say. It's just like in a court of law. It's the exact same thing. That's the way it's done. And I'm kind of familiar with that. You weigh it, sure. But where's it coming from? How many times have they lied? How many times have they openly lied to families? To their face? To Canadians? I know lots and lots and lots. So your credibility is Zipola. I'll look at it. I'll take it into consideration, but that's about it. And frankly, it may have tainted. I try to remain as unbiased as possible. But I understand when there's stuff going on and stories surface and people surface, and I get what you're doing. Timing, warrant releases, certain stories come out. Warrants come out that are drafted after coats are discussed. Real sneaky here. Maybe they'll never figure it out. That's the dirt part. Maybe they'll never figure it out. Their plans are extraordinarily malicious and very purposeful and very well thought out. Oh, okay. Well, she sees your email, I believe. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. The pair raised concern of the RCMP are not confronting strong possibility that whatever involvement his partner may have had in the tragedy, she was forced into it by her abusive partner. A logic question again? Sorry? What about the brother and the brother-in-law? Even though she has what appears to be a pal. Good A-tip. Good luck getting A-tips on any of this stuff. Good luck. Aside from the moratorium, you're never going to get them. I've seen them destroying shit before, personally. A-tips just suddenly vanish. Previous A-tip requests, all the Quebec Mosque ones. Well, I got pictures of those in archive. So, if you say now there's none, I have them from your website that they did exist. Oops. The pair raised the concern that the RCMP are not confronting the strong possibility that whatever involvement, yes, okay. So why, if we're dealing with a singular abused woman, do we have two other individuals, two people who may have gun licenses also? Looking seemingly they do. Men. Is Gabriel Wortman beating them up? Is Gabriel Wortman holding a gun to both of their heads at the same time? All three of them, how about that? All three of them at the same time. Are they going to suddenly turn around and say, this is, I think, where they're going to go? Oh, well, she was being threatened, and so they felt that they needed to get out of here. She didn't stay there. He stayed up there by himself, doing his hanky-panky with other women. And yes, those other women exist. They do. Maybe not publicly. Quote, in our opinion, the press release is like a smoke bomb causing chaos and confusion. I think the RCMP have been causing chaos and confusion. And I think, frankly, you're part of the chaos and confusion. Linda and Jean. Oh, sorry, Jean isn't her real name. I forget what it is. Anyway. change names. It's always not a good one. A rise in misogyny and victim blaming. I have no problem with women. I was raised in a family of very strong women, all lawyers. All of them. Well, okay. Not my sister. But obviously she didn't raise me. Very strong. Wouldn't be here without them. Real proud to be a part of the human race and have sisters at my side, and my mother and my grandmother, who were truly strong women. And frankly, I wish it's too bad I don't have those articles anymore. Lost everything. My grandmother got interviewed she was getting interviewed. It was not an unusual occurrence. And somebody, reporter, asked it, how do you feel about being like one of the first quote unquote feminists because you were a lawyer and all that you did? My grandmother looked at him and said, don't ever call me that. Ever. I don't want to be in that boat. I did this because I'm strong. I don't play weak. I don't burn bras. And I don't stand there like this. That's putting on a show. My grandmother will whoop anybody's ass. In her 90, I've seen her do it. Not physically. I've seen her spank men till they cried intellectually. Prime ministers, let's start there. That's tough. You want to fuck around? That's tough. Not this. Getting book deals. Playing sneaky sneaks. Oh, my grandmother would have a field day. A field day. Wayne McKay, I believe he's come out before. Always look at the sources. There's a few of them. There's one guy in 13 hours. He's come up quite a bit. What are their backgrounds? What are they receiving? What do they do? Who's paying them? They getting book deals? They getting, grants from the government? Everybody has a price, I guess. Sadly. I sure as fuck don't. I don't care about any book deals. I don't care about Netflix. I don't care about none of it. None of it! I care about my friend. And my friends care about her. And all of you. All 380 of you in here care about. All 23. And the hundreds of shattered lives left behind that will never change. Working your asses off. All of you. Not a one-man show, not an ego, not a book deal, nothing. This is a team. I'm very proud to be a part of it. A Dalhousie University law professor said RCMP release undoubtedly guilt in the tragedy and that many will, quote, jump to the wrong conclusion as to how she may be linked to the horrendous acts of the gunman. Now, these have not been established because people don't answer questions. about a dead man. Ongoing investigation. Oh, now it's an inquiry. How do we not answer anything? Let's pick people that we don't have to subpoena. How do we can write a review. It takes months. We'll figure it out. One premier down. Let's keep them going. The professor also questioned whether it would be in the public interest to proceed with the charge against the woman. Really now? I'm sorry. What is this? What is this? Oh, this fellow will most certainly know my family. And never would they say drop a charge. I know. Granddad would love to just pass judgment on you. Boom! You don't drop charges from bullshit like this. Fabricated garbage. Garbage! What you do is you put them in front of a court of law and you try them. And you don't give them Dumbo charges like 101. But things may be changing. She showed her face already, publicly, as in her who she is as a character. Didn't talk to any of the families yet. Disgusting. I'm sorry. Victims' families commiserate. They all would have welcomed you. They still, funnily enough, probably may. I don't know at this point. Because there's legal things going on in the background that involve her, which haven't come to public light. And they most certainly aren't very pleasant. Not a victim. Don't do like that. No. $80,000 car? That's a separate story, too. Doesn't want to talk to anybody. Lawyer's up. Needs the lie detector test. How many? 9 days later? 9 days? I think it was. My goodness. Certainly doesn't sound like a fucking victim to me. But I could be wrong. And I'm more than welcome to eat my shirt. But you better fucking prove it. And to prove it, you're going to need a lot. Because where's it coming from? Oh, liars who have an agenda. Whether it's in the public sector, government, police force, and media. Or individuals who have political causes. Oops. So they're already sowing this one out there. Let's not charge. No. Remember that case down in Halifax? Sircha? Is that her name? Sircha? I got a file going on her. L. Jones' friend. Fuck, I love digging. I love to dig. Ooh, you want to pop that video out? You want to really seriously do that? You want to cry up there? Premier? That's your most serious issue? You're going to look real bad. You're going to look real bad. Better step off. People who don't want to get mowed down, as in, not physically, obviously, never condone violence, ever condone violence. Intellectually, by a group of people who, frankly, just want truth. What are you doing? You want to go to war against your own people? Not a smart idea. Don't do it. Just be truthful. Truthful. Everybody makes mistakes. I know your mistake is pretty serious. Oh, I know it. Oh, I know it. Maybe it will come out. But it's better to get ahead of that and just be a man, a woman, a human being who tells the truth, has good character, will gain respectability back. Trust is very important to us. And no, stop with the fucking this. Start showing it. Start showing it. Not real hard. Besides looking at whether the evidence supports the charge, the Crown must also consider whether the public interest, whether it's in the public interest to proceed with the charge. Why would it not be? If this was a man, would it not be? I mean, I could turn the tables. There's lots of guys out there, funnily enough, who actually get abused too. Because what do they do against a woman? If they're a truly stand-up guy, you're not going to do anything. You'll just take it and just walk away. Because you don't ever raise a hand to a woman. But no guy is really going to ever say that, right? I'll tell you, I've had a girlfriend who's done that to me before. What are you going to do? You don't do anything. Because you can't. My grandmother would have kicked my ass. And I would be the lowest of the low. The lowest of the low. You just take it and walk away. At some point, now this isn't too much, and you say, sorry, can't do that anymore. Try and help. Can't? Okay. But why is it that if it suddenly becomes a woman, it's a problem? Based on what? On what? Nothing. You hide. That's cowardly. That's cowardly. The RCMP hide behind a skirt. A skirt. Wow. Sad. I appreciate that you keep watching. And yeah, you know, it's so awesome. So awesome to see Tara. I'll tell you, what a great team we have. And it just keeps growing. You know, the Discord is closed because you don't want to have certain people. The last two videos have her picture on it, if you're looking. Or what we're led to believe is her picture. No mugshot, no, though. No. But you don't really get those here in Canada. Quote, that's not as clear evidence, given evidence we have so far. So the common law partner was herself, a longtime victim. That's not as clear, given the evidence so far, that the common law partner herself was a longtime victim of the gunman, and an all too typical way was a partner in an abusive relationship. If it's based on this, no. Zero. Where's her brothers? Where's her brothers? with their gun licenses. Where are they? Gabe Wortman was 6'2". Probably weighed less than I did. Come on, what are you going to do? I mean, I'm thinking he did teeth. I've been around a little bit. What are you going to do? Two guys, come on. Come on. You want to sell that? You want to sell that? 101 charges? Pals, 2 men. No, this has gone way south. Get off the train while you can. And don't try and turn this around on me because I got lots of women in my corner. Trust me. That will testify. And I like to go the legal route. You malign me publicly, I will sue you. I do have lawyers on retainer. He also questioned the timing of the charge when the RCMP is desperately looking for more positive, quote, indications about their handling of the tragedy. I'd like to see any indications from these people. I really would. Not the, we can't answer because it's too traumatic for you, or it's an ongoing investigation, or now we're refusing to comment because of the inquiry. That's what they said to it's what they've said to the families now. We're not going to comment on anything now because of the ongoing inquiry. Oh, thanks. Like you said anything before? Or was that the media that was saying things? Oh, by the way, you are going to see an article that is going to come out because, shit, we stepped in it. But we have no comment on it. But you'll see it later today. There may be some details you may hear, or you can't really trust that. Coming from, again, who? The liars? No. Just think about it in your own life. If the person's a liar and they keep lying to you, you generally just stop trusting them. Because they're kind of reprobate. Our employees, when I want my underwear back. Okay. So, should be on again later. Again. So, I don't think it's going to be on my channel. I'm trying to think because I'm not very technologically inclined. So it will be on the Nighttime podcast. They have a channel. I left the details in another video that I did. Let me get that for you. One moment, please. One moment, please. I'm glad. It was very nice to hear Paul give everybody a shout out again. You guys are working so hard. I'm really like, geez, just real proud to be part of a team. Nighttime podcast. I believe it will be airing live there. I hope. I haven't checked this with Jordan yet, but so 10 o'clock, I believe, is Paul Palango tonight, and 11 p.m. Atlantic time will be Steve and I. So kind of back to back, it should be really interesting. And Steve's coming. I wish I could have everybody. I don't know how to do that, but I kind of do. And hopefully I'll represent everybody okay. I do hope everybody has a fantastic day. God bless you all. And appreciate so much the hard work that everybody's doing. We'll get those answers. And the people that are responsible will pay, as they should. Have a great day.